What's happening? I'm back once again, Layo, the Leprechaun. If you've not heard of me yet, yes, I have psychosis, or rather, a drug-induced psychosis. Wow. Or so my psychiatrist says. But then my mental health nurse says that it possibly could be schizophrenia. Who the fuck knows? Today, I'm going to be diving into the why. So, YMCA. It's hard to stay at the YMCA. Why did I develop psychosis? So, I got diagnosed by my psychiatrist with a drug-induced psychosis. However, I'm going to find out for you today why overall I developed psychosis, because I believe it was not wholly to do with drugs. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be diving deep into my consciousness to see what I can find as to reasons why. Okay, I'm back. Number one is not understanding emotional intelligence. And basically what I mean by this is I wasn't able to label my emotions. I wasn't able to understand my emotions, where they were coming from, or how to deal with my emotions. This caused me a lot of problems within friendships and relationships, and it got me into a lot of bother that I would have been able to get myself out of if I was emotionally intelligent. Many of you watching this probably are struggling with your emotional intelligence as well. Some of you may not even know what emotional intelligence is. I am not going to be able to deconstruct this for you today because it is such a massive topic. However, there's a good book you can read. And guess what it's called? Emotional Intelligence. So I recommend you check out that book.
Emotional intelligence. Scrooge.
If I have been aware of how to be emotionally intelligent, then I would have had longer lasting friendships and relationships. And because of that, within my past relationships, either someone was sick of my shit or I was sick of their shit. And so I've never had a relationship lasting longer than 2 months. And now that I have become more emotionally intelligent, I'm still single. Yeah, so what's the lesson there? I'm all alone! I'm only joking, I love being alone. Okay then, number two is responsibility. So taking responsibility for my own actions and whatever circumstances happen within my life. So responsibility is a big one that I was not aware that I was struggling with responsibility. However, I did come to realize that whenever I found it in a book, a quote came up. It was something like, "Do you blame the whole world for all of your problems?" And I was like, yeah, but the world's to blame for my problems. It's not my fault. It couldn't be my fault. However, it might not be your fault. However, it is still your responsibility to deal with it. It took me a long time to understand this. Taking responsibility for yourself means accepting everything for what it is. Because in life, we have the good and the bad. We got the yin and the yang. Unfortunately, life can be pretty shit sometimes, but it can be pretty good. And it all really depends on your circumstances. And yet, even with your circumstances, you have the choice to change. With the good and the bad, what you want to do is you want to find a middle ground. This is called equanimity. There are some things in your life that you can change, and there are some things in your life that you can't change. So I find it very helpful to ask this question now whenever a problem surfaces within my life. Layo, the Leprechaun, because that's what I call myself. Can I change this? Absolutely fucking not. Alright then, fuck it. Following up on responsibility and what we can change and what we can't change, I'm gonna give you a quote from the book Happy by Darren Brown.
Very, very good. I am responsible for how I feel about external events. What am I doing to give myself this feeling? Is this thing that's upsetting me something which lies under my control? If not, what if I were to decide it's fine and let it go? AKA, if it is not under your control, you can't change it.
Referencing from Darren Brown's book Happy again, here we have what is under our control and what is not under our control.
What is under our control are our thoughts and our actions. Not under our control, all of the above.
So, can I change it? Can I not change it? The third reason that I have found inside of my consciousness as to why I developed psychosis is the feeling of feeling lost. Constantly, I always felt lost in a world that I felt like I could not fit into. Struggling with friend groups, probably due to the emotional intelligence. Not finding the right path immediately. You know, I had the struggle of doing pretty good in school, but not knowing what I wanted to do whenever I left school. So I went down the route of, let's go to university, let's party. Going to university, I felt even more lost because I was doing a degree I didn't want to do. Quitting university, I went and got a full-time job. I was doing a job I didn't want to do. Feeling so low and depressed, taking fuckloads of drugs to compensate for these emotional feelings I did not know how to deal with. I went and fucked off and I ran away from my problems as far as I could. I went travelling to Southeast Asia, which is beautiful. And I came home. And guess what? I got stuck feeling even more lost again. To tell you the truth, I would ask people frequently, if you feel lost, like, what do you do? Like, how do you find what you actually want to do in life? And so their response would be, Layo, I'm 45 years old and I still don't know what the fuck I want to do. Just do it. So I had that attitude for a long time. However, it worked temporarily, came back to feeling lost. How I managed to deal with that was by finding what I wanted to do. And so it's not as simple as what I have just said there. How I have found what I want to do is honestly by reading. So by trying to get as much information as I can in. Because as soon as you leave school, in school you get forced to read books that are shit. Many people don't realise though that there are actually interesting books out there. And so by reading interesting books and by discovering myself, my needs, my ambitions, my joys, I have found what I want to do. Or else I think so. I don't actually know if this is what I really, really want to do. But the only way to find out is by doing it. And so many of yous out there, yous will have had these ambitions whenever you're younger. Oh, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to work in the ambulance service. I wanted to own a business. But you thought that you were not able to achieve that because of your belief in yourself. And maybe because of your parents' belief in you or your friends' belief in you. How to find your way is by taking risks and educating yourself. A quote I'm going to leave you with to ponder on by Viktor Frankl in his amazing book Man's Search for Meaning is, find your why and you'll be able to withstand any how. Boom! 1, 2, 3, 4! The fourth reason that I believe I may have developed psychosis is due to self-respect. I had no self-respect for myself. I did not love myself. In fact, it was the opposite. I hated myself. I hated my looks, I hated my personality, I hated everything about me. And so what I would do is I would change my personality depending on the person that I was with. And so there were certain aspects of me that I liked and certain aspects of me that I hated. Because I had no self-respect, what I was a people pleaser. And what I mean by that is I would do literally anything to try and please other people, to try and gain their support. It would be like a confidence booster for me. And so this led me into doing a lot of stuff that I did not want to do, quite frankly. A lot of stuff that I ended up getting manipulated, causing me trauma. And then also I ended up doing a lot of stuff that I am not proud of and to this day haunts me. Now, I'm not going to be able to change what has happened in the past. However, I can change my opinion on the future. And so what I've done is I've learned how to develop self-respect for myself. And so this includes loving myself. Because so many people struggle with loving themselves, and I hated myself for such a long part of my life. Learn how to love yourself with integrity. Integrity, for those of you who don't know, don't be embarrassed if you don't know. I didn't know the meaning of it until like 10 months ago. To love yourself with integrity, what I mean is to be able to say no to other people and be able to be true to yourself, listening to your gut and doing what you want to do because it is good or healthy for you, not what someone else wants you to do, because they might want you to do it for their own joy, while you doing that may cause embarrassment to yourself and you may hurt yourself psychologically, and it may take a long time for it to heal. You may be struggling with this right now because of the self-respect. Once you respect yourself, once you love yourself, you'll be able to receive love from others and give it out and spread love to the world, because that is what we need more of. Love is in the air. Na 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 na. Love is in the air. Oh. Yo, get him a recording contract. To love yourself, you have to start by forgiving yourself. No matter what, move on. I forgive you, and you can forgive me. Forgive yourself. Okay, number 5, my guys, is drugs. So yes, my psychiatrist said, "Oh, Leo, you got a drug-induced psychosis." And I said, "Fuck you. Probably is drug-induced." Yeah, however, the main reason is not drugs, okay? As the famous Gabor Mate says, there are no drug addicts, there are just trauma addicts. And so there's a reason why I delved into drugs, okay? I'm gonna go into that in a later podcast. Mainly it's because I loved being high. Why did I love being high? Because I hated being sober. Drugs would have had a disastrous effect on my brain because literally like it would just be killing my brain cells. There are some drugs that are brain enhancers, such as the likes of psychedelics. However, they have to be used in clinical places so that you can be supported. Because Tim Ferriss quotes this. He says that psychedelics are not to be messed with because they are pretty much like getting surgery done to your brain. That is how much of an effect they can have on your brain. They can bring up some past trauma, they can do loads of shit. They brought up some past trauma for me, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And yeah, it fucked me up. Also, the real problem with drugs is how clean they are. The majority of them are dirty. And by dirty, I don't mean there's a bit of muck on it. That B12 is probably pretty good for you. What I mean is they're probably mixed with other shit. Like the likes of ecstasy have got PCP in it, which can kill you and cause schizophrenia. Check out the movie Berlin Calling by Paul Kalkbrenner. Wicked! I have been sober for 10 months, and it is almost like beforehand there was a war going on in my head, and now there is a peace process, and it's going really good. Number 6. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on in the world. Israel's oppression on Palestine, China's oppression of Tibet, the Uyghur Muslims in China and the re-education camps. We've got the likes of Black Lives Matter in France. It has now been made illegal that you cannot record the police on your phone. If you do, you could get put in jail. Brexit, famine in Yemen. Yeah, there is so many problems in the world today. And if you are living in one of these terrible circumstances, my heart goes out to you, honestly. I am so lucky to be living in Belfast that has had a peace process for 20 years. I'm also blessed to come from a privileged family, privileged background. You know, the Irish ancestry have struggled in the past with, you know, the likes of the famine, the War of Independence, the Troubles. But now we really are quite privileged compared to over 90% of the world. So my heart really goes out to you. See, I used to get so annoyed about all this stuff that was happening in the world, but I couldn't change any of it, and so I wasn't battling anyone, I was battling my head, and it was just making me worse, making me ill. And so if you can do something about it, do it. Create the change that needs to be done. But if you can't, you know, don't beat yourself up about it. Support where you can. And so one of the places you can support is through following Popular Front. They are an independent conflict journalism that is non-biased, and they go into the highest conflict inflicted areas in the world. And they're pretty cool. Give them a follow. Not sponsors. So there's my 6 points on why I developed psychosis. How I found these 6 points is through a number of things. Through meditating in particular. Meditating has really been the key reasoning for me delving into my unconscious, subconscious, my own mind, and finding what has been going on with my life. Also counselling. The practice of CBT and psychotherapy. I recommend getting some professional help, and meditating. It will change your life. A question for you guys. Out of these 6 points, have you experienced any of these 6 points yourself in your journey on having psychosis? And are there any other reasons for you developing psychosis? I would love to hear them. One of them that you may be mentioning that I've completely forgot about is having schizophrenia or mental health just in your genes. So trauma can be passed down through generations, and also schizophrenia tends to be in your blood. So my uncle has schizophrenia. So that could be number 7 as to why I developed psychosis. But sure, let me know in the comments below what you think. Okay guys, thank you very much. God bless. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Yeah.